Hi everyone, George Wills here. In recent weeks, a fresh surge of intrigue has enveloped the world of royal watchers, media pundits, and social media enthusiasts, all fixated on Meghan Markle and what insiders are dubbing her most ambitious philanthropic endeavor yet. For some, it's being portrayed as a visionary leap into global advocacy, harnessing her platform for meaningful change, while for others, it's quietly stoking apprehensions within the hallowed halls of Buckingham Palace, already sensitive to the lingering strains from past departures. This isn't merely about a single initiative, announcement, or collaboration, but rather the overarching trajectory it underscores, a trajectory that has fueled endless discourse since Meghan and Prince Harry relinquished their senior royal duties. This newest chapter has reignited perennial debates about boundaries, influence, and the delicate interplay between the Sussexes and the ancient institution they distanced themselves from. Central to the buzz is the notion that Meghan's philanthropic empire is expanding in ways that feel progressively detached from, and occasionally in tension with, the monarchy's core principles of impartiality, discretion, and collective service. Analysts observe that each new campaign, partnership, or outreach effort is dissected not only for its humanitarian merit, but for its symbolic undertones. Detractors view it as a strategic expansion of her personal sphere, potentially muddying the waters for the royal family's own charitable endeavors. Advocates, conversely, see it as a modern woman leveraging her experiences to drive progress, unburdened by the constraints that once defined her role. Palace anxieties, as relayed by seasoned commentators, arise not so much from the substance of Meghan's philanthropy, often centered on mental health, women's empowerment, and racial equity, but from its amplifying effects on an already intricate landscape. The monarchy flourishes on equilibrium, foresight, and the meticulous curation of its public persona, and any element that injects volatility is typically regarded with subdued caution. Meghan's latest push, whether it involves a high profile foundation alliance, an international summit, or a digital advocacy platform, is said to revive concerns that personal narratives could bleed into public discourse, compelling the palace into a defensive stance it prefers to sidestep. The timing exacerbates the sensitivity as the royal family grapples with its own generational shifts, ceremonial obligations, and initiatives to align with contemporary values while safeguarding heritage. An external spotlight could eclipse their efforts. Sources close to the matter suggest that even veiled allusions or thematic overlaps might escalate into worldwide narratives, diverting focus from state visits, patronages, and community outreach. From the palace's vantage, it's less about curtailing Meghan's voice and more about mitigating the cascading consequences her prominent activism might impose on a system predicated on unified representation over solo spotlights. There remains the persistent undercurrent of mutual understanding, or the lack thereof, that has shadowed relations since the couple's exit. While Meghan and Harry have candidly shared feelings of isolation and scrutiny during their royal tenure, the palace is reportedly caught off guard by recurring echoes of those sentiments in philanthropic contexts. Every new venture is scrutinized through this prism, with aides and principals pondering if it could pave the way for additional insights or reframings of historical episodes. Even absent explicit controversy, the latent potential suffices to breed disquiet. Public sentiment, predictably, fractures along familiar lines. To some, Meghan emerges as a pioneer, dismantling barriers in a structure ill-equipped to embrace her multifaceted identity and aspirations. They contend that palace unease reflects more an aversion to evolution and diminished oversight than tangible detriment. Others perceive it differently, positing that wielding vast sway entails accountability, and intertwining royal legacies with independent crusades tilts the scales unjustly. This ideological rift propels digital forums into fervor, magnifying each development well beyond its inception. Media experts highlight that Meghan's entertainment roots equip her with an edge in mastering outreach, narrative crafting, and stakeholder mobilization, unlike most royals. Strategically, her moves often seem premeditated and opportune, intensifying the sense within palace confines that serendipity plays no part. This doesn't imply ill will, but it does position the monarchy, historically deliberate in its adaptations, as perpetually reactive in a dynamic advocacy arena. Complicating matters further is the bearing on prospective ties. Certain observers posit that each prominent philanthropic stride complicates bridges, entrenching stances across the divide. Amid sporadic whispers of private dialogues, the overt nature of these pursuits renders confidential mending arduous. The palace might fret that sustained public prominence cements an irreversible schism, impacting not merely present figures but the enduring portrayal of the monarchy as a cohesive lineage. Nonetheless, it's crucial to recognize that much of the so-called palace anxiety filters through anonymous tipsters and interpretive analysis rather than edicts. The royals' renowned reticence favors quietude over exposition, fostering a void where conjecture thrives, and actions are parsed in myriad, clashing interpretations. Meghan's philanthropic orbit inhabits this realm of vagueness, where impressions rival facts in weight. As the narrative progresses, scrutiny naturally turns to how this recent philanthropic escalation integrates into the extended saga post Meghan and Harry's royal withdrawal. To many, it registers less as a standalone effort and more as a continuation in a protracted tale of agency, self-determination, and the friction between venerable establishments and contemporary personas. In palace echelons, this aggregated influence reportedly sparks the keenest trepidation. It's not solely the present unfolding, but the portents for what follows, and the mounting challenge in anticipating or steering outcomes. A recurrent murmur among royal analysts is the matter of example setting. The monarchy hinges on customs meticulously upheld to ensure generational continuity. When a former key player sustains leverage from their royal linkage while forging an autonomous charitable domain, it upends entrenched norms on post-royal conduct. Meghan's initiatives, wittingly or otherwise, could be interpreted as reshaping the paradigm of departure without full retreat, and such fluidity disconcerts a framework reliant on delineated duties. An international facet demands attention too. Meghan and Harry transcend mere emblems of familial discord. They are worldwide icons with expanse reaching past British shores. Their actions reverberate globally, molding views of the monarchy at large. Palace strategists reportedly agonize that iterative philanthropic spotlights, however understated, chip away at the assiduously nurtured aura of steadfastness and dedication pivotal to the royals, particularly in realms where crown sentiments are in flux. From Meghan's angle, allies maintain these qualms are misguided and inequitable. They emphasize her explicit intent to prioritize impact, innovation, and substantive contributions over royal intrigue. In this lens, palace jitters betray a reluctance to concede that one can exit the fold and flourish autonomously. Her enduring ability to captivate, they assert, attests to her pertinence and clout, not a calculated bid to erode the throne. Yet detractors retort that purpose and repercussion diverge at times. Even if Meghan's aim is altruistic fulfillment or societal advancement, the truth is her endeavors are invariably filtered through a royal filter. Each summit, report, or alliance morphs into fodder for dissecting prior rifts and assigning fault. This incessant linkage perpetuates old scars and hampers the palace's quiet advancement. Internally, the royal apparatus contends with perpetual evaluations on response strategies or abstention regarding Sussex-related narratives. Restraint has predominated, but it can signal vulnerability or concession. Engagement, alternatively, hazards amplification and heightened glare. Meghan's philanthropic surge purportedly revives this quandary, prompting thorny deliberations in seclusion. The media's amplification role looms immense in heightening these apprehensions. Titillating banners, conjectural breakdowns, and online skirmishes frequently inflate event import, casting them as clashes even if unintended. For the palace, this media milieu is both habitual and exasperating. Contrasting Meghan's fluency and visibility and story stewardship, the monarchy anchors in moderation and subtlety. This core disparity guarantees perpetual abrasion. Public credence factors prominently too. The royals depend on the belief they prioritize communal welfare over private vendettas or promotional gains. When ex-members merge personal advocacy with institutional commentary, it muddles accountability lines. Palace confidants may dread that sustained exposure to such tales could incrementally undermine faith, notably among youth skeptical of monarchical pertinence. Concurrently, Meghan's champions regard her sway as emblematic of sweeping cultural metamorphosis. They posit entities like the monarchy must acclimate to an era prizing openness, responsibility, and uniqueness. Herein, palace disquiet signals not Meghan's misstep, but the establishment's adaptation lag. Her recent philanthropic thrust then symbolizes a grander audit over individual provocation. The human dimension merits acknowledgement beyond decorum and tactics. This chronicles familial bonds under immense duress. Each public progression layers unspoken sentiments, lingering disputes, and rival hurt accounts. Palace worries may derive equally from shielding intimate connections as from image safeguarding. Equilibrium between empathy and vigilance proves elusive in a dissected arena. Conjectures on forthcoming engagements infuse added layers to the unease. Might reconciliation avenues emerge, or has divergence solidified? Some analysts surmise persistent philanthropic visibility impedes trust restoration, recirculating grievances. Others advocate that candor and prominence are vital for recovery, albeit temporarily jarring. Meghan's endeavor occupies this debate's epicenter, encapsulating peril and promise. Fundamentally, palace apprehension thrives on ambiguity. The monarchy navigates critique, uproar, and scandal within known bounds. It falters against unpredictability, particularly from a media-savvy adept. Meghan's pursuits, deemed empowering or intrusive, insert unmanaged variables via conventional channels. This strain assures vigilant monitoring and expansive reading of every nuance. As fascination mounts, the chronicle transcends one person, embodying past-present collisions. Meghan Markle epitomizes a novel royal archetype, fusing star allure with hereditary emblems. The palace, steeped in ages-old rites, must navigate coexistence. Whether apprehension evolves to adjustment or defiance is pending, but the interplay's persistence in limelight is assured. Advancing the enduring ramifications of Meghan's philanthropic drive preoccupy royal pundits and insiders. Transcending instant buzz and disputes, a mounting consensus posits the monarchy confronts a pivotal juncture in engaging non-conforming alumni who decline obscurity. Meghan's steadfast prominence compels a thorny yet inescapable query: can a time-honored body harmonize with a contemporary force adhering to divergent codes, or will the strain merely escalate? Among the profoundest qualms circulating discreetly is legacy's stake. The royals keenly recognize history appraises not isolated deeds but epical recollections. Each Sussex-involved public thread weaves into that tapestry. Palace viewpoints harbor angst over future interpretations, perceiving defense or heedlessness. Meghan's autonomous philanthropy sustains that segment, thwarting tidy closure or revision. There's burgeoning awareness that archaic crisis tactics falter. For eras, the monarchy leaned on gated entry, judicious hush, and measured dialogue. In instant reaction epochs with planetary forums, such tactics seem antiquated. Meghan's ease with virtual advocacy and direct involvement accentuates this chasm starkly. Palace qualms encompass not just her deeds, but institutional frailties in a swift evolving sphere. Meghan's proponents contend this unease underscores her import. They believe she unveils long-veiled imperfections beneath etiquette and ritual. Palace apprehension thus concerns authority erosion over narrative more than harm. Meghan's external existence, while shaping monarchy dialogues, defies sole definitional prerogative. Conversely, skeptics caution against public weariness. Incessant speculation loops, responses, and rebuttals can dull empathy universally. Risks abound that viewers desensitize, framing the scenario as perpetual squabble over substantive reform, selfhood, or equity dialogues. Palace allies fear this saga diverts from benevolent quests and civic duty, distilling nuanced entities and persons to sensational stereotypes. A generational chasm amplifies palace qualms' gravity. Youth often lends Meghan's efforts through empowerment and articulation prisms, whereas elders might deem them propriety or fidelity lapses. This schism mirrors societal fluxes, positioning the monarchy precariously, retaining youth relevance sans alienating traditionalists. Meghan's eminence hones this bind, complicating impartiality. The economic angle, seldom overtly broached, contributes to disquiet. Fusing royal ties with philanthropic enterprises poses ethical quandaries the palace evades. Even with Meghan's circumspection against direct heritage nods, perceptual links persist. This nebulous zone the monarchy shuns sees refreshed examination per project, probing boundary delineations and arbiters. Emotionally, protracted strain's burden is incalculable. Beneath official missives and tactical silences lie souls navigating letdown, irritation, and unsettled strife. Palace concern transcends strategy. It's profoundly personal. Enduring global dissection of kin matters exacts a price, and Meghan's visibility ensures scant private recuperation. Simultaneously, Meghan's tenacity and resolve echo profoundly with those mirroring her odyssey and personal battles. The arc of a woman forging identity post-institutional confinement captivates, especially in authenticity-valuing times. This echo renders her formidable, explaining persistent palace qualms. Such sway eludes easy rebuttal or confinement. forecasting, the pivotal inquiry is equilibrium attainment. Some foresee waning intensity over time, permitting parallel existences sans friction. Others maintain intersectional work and imagery guarantee enduring tension. The palace may yearn for separation and serenity, but Meghan's trajectory implies sustained worldly involvement autonomously. There's potential this chronicle catalyzes substantive shift. Bodies evolve, often via compelled confrontations with discomforts. Meghan's path, divisive as portrayed, has ignited talks on equity, wellness, roles, and ritual inflexibility. Palace qualms might yield to contemplation and overhaul, albeit gradual and patchy. In essence, the tale outgrows Meghan Markle or the royals solitarily. It encompasses authority, self, and defining within or beyond millennial systems. Her philanthropic thrust matters not for explicit content, but representational heft in wider scopes. It contests presumptions, incites discourse, and defies complacent interment of yesteryears. As observers dissect and contend, certainty lies in the saga's incompleteness. Palace qualms endure, while Meghan persists as visible, potent, self-charting. Whether qualms foster schism or monarchical reinvention lingers unresolved. Evident is tradition transformation's vivid crossroads, with outcomes molding royal tales enduringly. Delving deeper, the philanthropic landscape Meghan navigates adds unique layers to the discourse. Her initiatives often intersect with global crises, drawing partnerships from tech giants to NGOs, amplifying her reach exponentially. This expansion, while laudable, prompts palace watchers to question if such alliances inadvertently position her as a quasi-diplomatic figure, potentially overlapping with official royal engagements abroad. The monarchy's international footprint, particularly in humanitarian spheres, relies on apolitical branding, and any perceived competition could dilute that authority. Commentators note that Meghan's approach, blending personal storytelling with advocacy, contrasts sharply with the royals' more reserved patronage model, fueling debates on efficacy versus decorum. Moreover, the digital dimension of her philanthropy introduces novel challenges. Platforms like social media and apps allow direct audience interaction, bypassing traditional gatekeepers. Palace sources express concern that this unfiltered access could lead to rapid mobilizations on sensitive issues, outpacing the monarchy's deliberate pace. In an era of viral campaigns, Meghan's agility might highlight the royals' perceived sluggishness, especially among digitally native generations. Supporters counter that this democratizes philanthropy, making it more inclusive and responsive, aligning with modern expectations of transparency. The intersection with celebrity culture further complicates matters. Meghan's pre-royal fame in Hollywood equips her with a network that enhances her initiative's visibility, from star-studded fundraisers to media tie-ins. Critics argue this blurs lines between genuine aid and promotional spectacle, risking the perception of philanthropy as personal branding. Palace insiders worry that such optics could taint the royals' own efforts, which emphasize quiet, sustained support over high-gloss events. Yet, advocates highlight the tangible impacts, such as increased funding for underrepresented causes, suggesting the ends justify the means. Family implications weave through this narrative intricately. Harry's involvement in these ventures underscores a united front, but it also revives questions about his dual identity, royal by birth, advocate by choice. Palace apprehensions may include fears that philanthropic successes could embolden further independence, straining already fragile ties. Reports of occasional outreach suggest glimmers of hope, but public-facing efforts often overshadow these, perpetuating a cycle of speculation. Broadening the lens, Meghan's philanthropic bolding reflects larger societal trends toward individualized impact. In a post-pandemic world valuing mental resilience and equity, her focus resonates globally, positioning her as a bridge between elite influence and grassroots needs. This role, however, challenges the monarchy's hierarchical model, where change trickles from the top. Observers speculate if her model could inspire internal reforms, urging the royals to embrace more personal, relatable advocacy. Economic sustainability adds another thread. Philanthropic ventures require funding, and the Sussex's Archwell Foundation has faced scrutiny over transparency and efficiency. Palace concerns might extend to how these operations intersect with commercial elements, like book deals or media productions, potentially inviting ethical debates. Supporters argue that self-funding enables independence, freeing initiatives from taxpayer burdens, a point often lost in critical narratives. Cultural critics point to the gendered undertones in the scrutiny Meghan faces. Her assertiveness in philanthropy is sometimes framed as overreach, contrasting with more passive royal roles historically assigned to women. This disparity fuels arguments that palace unease masks deeper biases, prompting calls for introspection within the institution. Meghan's multicultural background further enriches her work, bringing diverse perspectives that challenge monochromatic traditions. Looking inward, the palace's response strategy evolves. While silence prevails, there's growing recognition of the need for proactive engagement, perhaps through enhanced digital presence or youth focused programs. Meghan's philanthropy inadvertently serves as a mirror, highlighting areas for modernization without direct confrontation. As tensions simmer, the human cost remains poignant. Behind the headlines are individuals navigating loss and reinvention. Meghan's journey from royal insider to global philanthropist embodies resilience, inspiring many while unsettling others. Palace qualms, thus, blend strategic calculation with emotional undercurrents, reflecting the complexity of severed yet intertwined paths. In summation for this segment, Meghan's philanthropic surge encapsulates a pivotal evolution. It not only advances causes but probes the monarchy's adaptability, setting stages for either convergence or continued divergence. The global audience watches, drawn to the drama of transformation unfolding in real time. Venturing further, the potential for collaboration emerges as a tantalizing what if. Could Meghan's philanthropic expertise complement royal efforts, fostering hybrid initiatives? Palace skeptics doubt it, citing trust deficits, but optimists see untapped synergy in shared goals like climate action or education. Such partnerships might heal rifts, demonstrating maturity on both sides. Conversely, escalation risks loom. If Meghan's ventures critique systemic issues implicitly linked to royalty, it could provoke defensive postures, deepening divides. Media would feast on any perceived slights, perpetuating the cycle. Palace strategies might then pivot to bolstering their own profiles, emphasizing continuity over innovation. The youth factor intensifies relevance. Millennials and Gen Z, drawn to authentic activism, view Meghan's model as aspirational. This demographic shift pressures the monarchy to evolve or risk obsolescence. Her philanthropy, with its emphasis on intersectionality, appeals to diverse audiences, potentially eroding traditional support bases. Internationally, implications ripple through diplomacy. As a US-based figure with British ties, Meghan's advocacy could influence transatlantic relations subtly. Palace concerns include avoiding any appearance of divided loyalties, especially in politically charged arenas. Financial transparency remains a flashpoint. Archwell's operations, while impactful, invite audits that could reflect on royal associations. Supporters praise efficiency and cause delivery, but critics demand rigor matching the scrutiny faced. Emotionally, reconciliation's path winds through forgiveness. Private gestures, amid public pursuits, suggest possibilities. Yet, philanthropy's visibility ensures ongoing examination, testing endurance. Ultimately, this philanthropic chapter tests boundaries. It questions if independence and legacy can coexist harmoniously or if conflict is inevitable. Palace anxieties, rooted in preservation, clash with Meghan's drive for change, creating a narrative rich in potential. Concluding the exploration, Meghan Markle's philanthropic ambitions represent more than personal evolution. They signal a paradigm shift in influence wielding. The palace, custodian of tradition, grapples with this disruption, weighing adaptation against resistance. As debates rage, the saga's resolution will define not just individual legacies, but the monarchy's future viability in a democratized world. What persists is the captivating tension between autonomy and allegiance. Meghan's path illuminates paths untaken by royals past, challenging norms while inspiring reform. Whether this leads to unity or enduring separation, the discourse enriches global conversations on power and purpose. In the end, palace concerns underscore a deeper truth. Change, though unsettling, often heralds progress. Meghan's bold steps may yet bridge divides, transforming anxiety into opportunity for all involved.